This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial endowment expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on January 29th, 2016. Our time is 8:35 Mountain. Our radio show runs on 6:30 CHED, Sunday afternoon at 3. Now, at the very last minute, Ched came to Harold and said, we would like to run the NHL All-Star Game at 3. Would you mind moving your show? And Harold was very gracious and helped Ched out and moved the show back to 2 o'clock today. So we're on at 2, and I can tell you that right after the game, we will have on 6:30 CHED the NHL All-Star Game. So we thank Harold for doing that. Don't forget, next week, we'll be on at 10 a.m., 10 in the morning, Oilers hockey after that, but we'll be on at 10 a.m. Don't forget, if you ever miss a radio show, they are archived on Harold's two websites, HESradio.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. They're there 24/7, streaming live. You can listen to them at your convenience. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You'll find us there. We're portable. We go on any of your portable devices. Speak personally and privately with Harold about investing in hard assets at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. Our featured diamond of the week, and it is a beauty. A .44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. We'll talk more about that diamond and an article out of Australia about the Argyle mine in the second half of the show. Breaking overnight, in a surprise move, the Bank of Japan announced that it's adopting a negative interest rate strategy while maintaining the pace of its asset purchases, meaning quantitative easing, printing money, buying bonds, keeping interest rates ultra low. By a vote of 5-4, the bank agreed to introduce a rate of minus 0.1% on certain excess holdings of cash, with the changes taking effect February 16. Government bonds across the world have jumped in response to the decision, with Japanese yields falling to a new record low, the yen also tumbling. The world reacting to now we have the Bank of Japan going negative. Later in the show, we have a story on a bank that has decided to stop doing something. And we will tell you about it after Harold and your commentary. What's happening in the oil market, precious metals, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar? I know the U.S. dollar really spiked on that negative yield news.
It certainly did. In fact, the markets were very volatile all week long. Basically, gold has held above the 1100 level, trading today, as we're taping the show on Friday, at 1116.40, trading in a very narrow range. Now, the fact is that gold has got to break 1180 in order to convince me that it's going to go higher. So we still need about a $65 move in gold on the upside, and basically there's nothing in the market at this point that points to that happening. In fact, the opposite appears to be true, that the fact is that gold should really start to sell off next week. So the gold market right now is trading even on the day at 1116. We did have heavy support a couple of weeks ago at 1,050. It couldn't close below 1,050, but again, unless there's some type of major geopolitical situation, there's no way that gold is going to go higher. Gold is going to drop and test the $1,000 level. And the reason I'm saying that is that as we're taping the show today, the U.S. dollar is up 107, one of the biggest days up for the U.S. dollar, and is trading at 99.68. Now, we have been above par. A par is $1. So we've been above par a couple months ago, and we had two closes above par. So to me, that tells me that par is no longer the major resistance level for the dollar. What is right now would be 101.50. And that's where I think the next major move in the U.S. dollar is going to. And a move above par with a couple closes above it to the 101.50 level would basically bring gold to around $1,025. So the fact is that with negative interest rates in Japan, all throughout Europe, problems in the Middle East, problems everywhere, China and the whole thing. The United States, no matter what, and no matter what problems the U.S. is facing, there's still a better economy than any other economy in the world. And that's why, even with all the volatility in the stock market and all the negativism that's going on, I still believe that the Dow is going to go higher. Now, it's not something that I would ever invest in. Only a few stocks moving higher can move the Dow up substantially. But the fact is that we don't put our money into paper assets. We buy real assets. And the fact is that right now with the U.S. dollar up as strong as it is and getting ready to break par again, I think the next week we will see the U.S. dollar strengthen substantially and we'll see the gold market sell off. We also saw a strong rally in crude this week. Crude went from a low of $28 that we saw about a week and a half ago to where we've seen it hit this week around $34. So right now the price of crude is up 61 cents at $33.83. However, I don't see crude going higher. The reason that crude did rally this week was because OPEC and Saudi Arabia were talking about possibly cutting production. So on that news alone, the crude oil market went from $28 up to $34, basically a $6 move in crude. Now, the fact is that Iran came out and said they're not going to cut production. They're just getting back into oil. They need the money, and they are going to not only produce oil, but they're going to ship large quantities of it. So it appears that if OPEC is going to try to cut production, which again, I can certainly see why OPEC would want to do that. There's a gigantic glut of oil on the market. So the fact is that if they did cut production, that would be very bullish for crude, and crude would probably go to around $40, $42 in that area. But again, with Iran coming out and saying that they're not going to do that, and Saudi Arabia in the mood that they're in, I just don't see it happening. I'm going to stick with my prediction of $20 to $22 crude oil, because I do know that there's crude oil being sold in the Middle East for around $20. And if that's what the bid price is in the Middle East, then that's where the price of crude should go to. I know that that's horrible news for all of our Canadian friends and clients. Again, I'm Canadian myself, and so is Randy. But the fact is that the Canadian economy is suffering tremendously because of oil. And again, unless we are to get a strong rally in oil, which I don't see happening at this particular point, I just don't think things are going to get better at this time. I see with oil prices dropping, the Canadian dollar dropping down to 60 cents. I know that's not a popular prediction, nor is the prediction of crude oil coming down to $20 to $22, but you're better off knowing that this is feasible and very possible, so you can plan for it and actually take advantage of it depending on what type of trader you are. So the fact is that the Dow is up 205 points today, trading at 16,274. I've said on past shows that even though things are not great in the United States, it's still the strongest economy, and it wouldn't shock me to see the Dow not only break 18,000, but possibly go as high as 20. And that would not be based on any strong fundamentals. It would just basically be that the Dow, certain stocks are doing well, and that's what's going to push up the Dow. So, again, I'm sticking with the predictions of gold dropping to below 1,050 over the short term, with very heavy support at 1,000, and believe it or not, at 850 if things get extreme. Silver right now is trading at 1435. Again, if the gold market drops down to 1,000, that would bring silver down to around 1150. And again, silver could go down to around the $10 level, and that is possible if certain scenarios happen. Again, we anticipate that the Canadian dollar is going to drop with the price of oil, and it could be substantial because the U.S. dollar is going to rally to 108 to 110. That's also going to push the Canadian dollar down to, again, my price is 60 cents on the Canadian dollar, and then if crude oil falls with no agreement reached with OPEC and Iran and Saudi Arabia, they'll watch for crude oil to go to $20 to $22. So the fact is that the Canadian economy, amongst other economies in the world, are in big, big trouble. And the fact is that unless oil was to recover, there's not a very good chance that the Canadian dollar is going to recover. And why would oil recover? what we would have to see is massive cuts in oil production. And as we just stated, Iran is against that. Iran is going to ship as much oil as they possibly can. And if that's what the case is, then other OPEC members are going to do so also, because if the price is going to drop and because of Iran, then they still need money. All of these OPEC producing, oil producing OPEC nations are in huge trouble right now. They're doing horribly. And that will continue. So, again, unless something's important happens in the oil market with ISIS or something along that lines that's going to interfere with the production of oil, then watch for oil prices to continue to drop. That's the way I see things in the market at this point, Randy. I continue to see a rally in the Dow, even though the economy in the U.S. is not strong. We see gold prices going lower. We see the U.S. dollar breaking par next week and going to 101.50, which will push the gold market down to around 1,025, 1,050 in that area. And then we see the crude oil market falling, again, to possibly as low as $20 to $22. That's what we see in the market at this time.
Our featured diamond of the week from rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And later in the show, we have an article we'll be talking about from an Australian newspaper, all about the Argyle mine and pink diamonds. Featured diamond, a 0.44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink Argyle. See it, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. Remember, the call to Harold is free. The conversation is 100% confidential. You can call Harold. He'll be happy to take the time to speak with you, a generous offer. And remember, the way to connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. One of the big stories in our free weekly newsletter this week, you can receive it from Harold. Norway's two biggest banks have stopped handling cash. The story came out yesterday. It was a blockbuster, obviously very stunning news. Norway's largest bank, DNB, has joined the relentless campaign by governments and big banks around the world to abolish cash. The physical embodiment of a nation's monetary unit and the last tangible, if tenuous, link to the 19th century gold standard, almost all of today's national currency notes, notably excluding the euro, originated as claims to a definite weight of gold or silver. Predictably, a DNB spokesman justified its proposal to completely eliminate the use of cash in favor of digital checking accounts by claiming that the abolition of cash would reduce crimes such as money laundering. Today, there's approximately 50 billion kroner in circulation, and the country's central bank, Norges Bank, can only account for 40% of its use. That means, in their opinion, that 60% of money usage is outside of any control. And they go on to say, we believe that that is due to under-the-table and money laundering. There are so many dangers and disadvantages associated with cash. The bank goes on to say, we have concluded that it should be phased out. Now, the commentary at the bottom is from the people who wrote the article, and this is a must-read. Get it from Harold. World Financial Report on Radio for Jan 29, 2016, our newsletter. Connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Harold will send it out to you. But they go on to say, and this is quite, note the ominous implication of this absurd statement. Any large or even moderate-sized financial transaction that people manage to keep private must involve criminal activity. So I guess, if you're spending a large amount of money for whatever reason, you're a criminal. Indeed, in 2013, a Norwegian man had his home ransacked by police after he purchased a PC, TVs, and a washing machine for 80,000 kroner in cash from an inheritance he had received. Harold, this story absolutely stunning. Overnight, obviously, Japan going to negative interest rates on some cash, and I'm sure they'll even go further negative if they have to. But here we have Norway's two biggest banks stopping handling cash, and the implication that you're actually using cash in a large amount, maybe to buy a house, a car, whatever, and you're a crook, to me, it's absolutely absurd. It's offensive, and it's shocking that the people of Norway would put up with that.
You better believe it, but it's a sign of the times, and it's going to happen all over the world. It's happening in Europe as we speak, in Finland, in Sweden, in Denmark, parts of Ireland. They're even toying with it a little bit here in the United States, so there's no doubt that it's coming. It appears to me that almost every country is going to have negative interest rates except for the United States at this point, and the reason for that is that the United States, their dollar is going to be the strongest currency. So there's no doubt what the reserve currency is at this point. There was all the talk over the last couple of years that China, the yuan is going to be, other countries are going for the reserve currency status, but it appears at this point that the U.S. dollar is going to be the strongest currency. And again, if all these countries are going into negative interest rates, that's the step before getting into a cashless society, because the fact is that by having negative interest rates, it means that you're paying money to keep your money in the bank. Who's going to do that? We were one time getting paid interest to keep our money in the bank. Now we have to pay to keep the money in the bank, and we know from past experiences that the banks are not safe. In actual fact, they're very dangerous. So why would anybody want to keep money in the bank except you need it there to pay bills? But soon, that's not even going to be a situation worth noting, because in these cashless situations, everything is going to be electronic. So we're not that far away from it. Again, I started working on this seminar for the Cashless Society. It's overwhelming. There's so much information on it and so many things to digest that, again, we're looking forward to doing that. That should happen within the next 60 days or so. However, this is where everything is leading to. What the banks actually want and what the government wants is, by charging you to keep money in the bank, they're going to force you to spend that money. They're going to force you to actually go out and spend the money. Otherwise, you're going to pay to keep your money in the bank, and that's what's leading to this whole cashless society situation. So it's interesting. It's obviously going to change the way that we live and the way that we do business. Do you realize that in a cashless society, there will be no more bank robberies per se, where somebody walks into a bank with a gun and tries to rob it? There will be no cash. Same thing with convenience stores and 7-Eleven. The only type of thievery that will go on will be electronic, which is going on right now anyway. So, again, we're moving into a changing world, and we just want to make certain that everybody is on top of everything that is going on so you can make the right decision. These are very confusing and dangerous and volatile times, and one mistake could wipe you out. The fact is that if you've been a listener to our show, whether it's just for a short period of time or for the 17 years pretty well that we've been on CHED, we've made some pretty outlandish recommendations. Most of them have come to fruition. We traded and recommended gold at $250, and it went to $1,900. We recommended oil when it was down below 20 and rode it up to over 150. We were the first ones to tell our clients to buy the euro and to basically take cash and convert it to the euro when the price was low, and our clients did extremely well on that. So the fact is that we have a fairly good handle on what's happening in the world economy. And where most people are suffering and not doing well in the markets at all and losing a ton of money, especially in stocks and paper assets, my clients are actually doing extremely well. My clients are making at least 25% a year, and some much more than that. So if you're not in that situation, if you're not making money, if your retirement savings plans are doing horrible, which, let's face it, most of them are. They haven't made money in over a decade now. So the fact is that my clients are doing extremely well, and most of my clients are involved in U.S.-based investments in U.S. dollars. So not only are we making 25% or more in a year, on top of that, we're making it in American money, which is 40% higher than Canadian. And if you think you missed the boat on this, you haven't, because the Canadian is going to drop to 60, the American is more than likely going to $1.10, and that would still make you a fortune in the currency markets, along with what we're doing in our other businesses. So again, if you want to do better, give me a call. I'll take your call. I'll talk to you as long as you need. Go over your financial situation, where your investments are, and make certain recommendations to you. In many cases, I tell clients just to get out of the market and just sit in cash for now, because capital preservation is so important. Capital appreciation, making money, is important, but the most important thing in these volatile times is to be able to not lose your money and to keep it. As it happens, my clients, mostly my Canadian clients, are doing extremely well in the private investments that we're offering. And again, if you're not making 25% a year or more in U.S. dollars, then you need to call me, and I'll help you as much as I possibly can. But we've got a rare opportunity to make an awful lot of money over the next few years. And again, this is exclusive to our Canadian clients.
Our featured diamond of the week from rarecoloreddiamonds.com, a .44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. See it at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. We'll talk about pink diamonds in the second half of the show. Now, Harold was talking about making money, and, that is just so critical going forward, not losing money. We work so hard for the money that we make. We need to profit from it, but protect the money at the same time. From the Canadian Business Channel, BNN, a new report from HSBC shows 74% of pre-retirees who are aged 45 plus want to retire in the next 5 years, but almost half of them can't, and you won't be surprised to learn why. 75% say they haven't saved enough. 35% say they're loaded down with debt, among other reasons. And I have to admit, I know quite a few different people in that age bracket of 40 to 60, 70, and it is shocking the amount of debt that some people are carrying. As Harold has educated us over the many years of our radio show, get out of debt, and obviously have your money shifted where you can profit and protect at the same time. Connect with Harold, speak with him about investing in hard assets. 1-800-432-1022, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. The other story that was interesting, Canadians hold a record amount, $75 billion in cash, as they wait out volatile markets. Investors have fled financial markets, but obviously the main reason, they're spooked by market volatility. And there's $75 billion in extra cash sitting just basically in bank accounts, money market, things like that. And truthfully, I don't blame people. As Harold was recommending here just moments ago, sitting in cash in very volatile times, you might not be making anything, but you're not losing either. And some people can't quite wrap their head around that. They think they have to be in the market at all times. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes it is better just to sit on the sidelines. But Harold does have different programs. If you're part of that group with a large amount of cash here in Canada, $75 billion, just sitting in the bank, if you do have money and you'd like to put it to work, find out from Harold some of the different programs he has. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. I'm going to come back and talk about diamonds as the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on January 29th, 2016. Our time is 9 o'clock Mountain. Our radio show runs 6:30 CHED, normally Sunday afternoon at 3. Now, Chet had the opportunity to run the NHL All-Star Game at 3 o'clock. They asked Harold, would you mind moving back to 2? Harold was very gracious and has done that. So we're on from 2 until 3, NHL All-Star Game at 3 p.m. Now, next week, due to Oilers hockey, we will be on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So don't miss us Sunday morning at 10 a.m. If you ever miss a radio show, they're archived on Harold's 2 websites, HESradio.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast through iTunes. If you have a portable device, you can put the podcast on there, listen to us at your convenience anywhere you go. Type in the World Financial Report on Radio in iTunes. You will find us there. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. This week's featured diamond is a 0.44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. And one of the things that we've talked about over the years during the show is different viruses and concerns that have come forward. And I know there's been the bird flu and all sorts of crazy viruses in the world. The latest one, and this is why we recommend hard assets, in particular diamonds. It's like real estate in your pocket, portable wealth. You needed to get out of Dodge, you could put it in your pocket and be gone and have money to relocate. And this Zika virus is spreading explosively in the Americas, according to WHO. They're raising the alarm. In fact, in Alberta, as I'm driving to work to tape this show, I heard on the news that there are 3 cases in Alberta. The level of alarm is extremely high, according to WHO Director Margaret Chan. Chan said she will convene an emergency meeting coming up on February 1st in Geneva to consider whether to declare an outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. And Harold, from the articles we have in our free weekly newsletter, there is no cure, and really there's no quick way to tell if you have it. And obviously they're warning people, if you're pregnant, don't get it because it causes deformities. And on top of it, don't get pregnant if you're in an area where it's running rampant. So this is a very, very concerning situation. And I know you mentioned to me during the break that you're very concerned about it.
Certainly. Again, saw it on the news over the last few days, and again, they certainly make it sound like it's something that we have to pay a lot of attention to, and again, does cause deformities. It comes through mosquito bites type of thing, and here in Florida, we're in a big mosquito area type of thing, so obviously it's something that we have to keep our eyes on. But all in all, the Diamond newsletter this week was phenomenal. The featured diamond is spectacular. The thing about the Argyle mine, it's going to close within 4 years. So we have a very short window of opportunity still left to us. We've been purchasing and recommending Argyle pink diamonds for about 10 years now, when nobody even knew what these diamonds were, when nobody even knew what the Argyle mine was. And the beautiful thing about the Argyle mine is that where it produces 30 million carats of diamonds a year, most of those are not investment diamonds. They're industrial diamonds used not only to cut other diamonds, but also used in the oil drilling industry. So that's all going to be gone. But what the Argyle mine is mostly known for is their pink diamonds. And the fact is that these pink diamonds are the most concentrated form of wealth on Earth. They're smaller diamonds. They're worth an absolute fortune. And once the mine closes in 4 years, we anticipate that the price of these pink diamonds can increase as much as 1,000%. We've seen it in other diamonds before. In blue diamonds, we've seen that happen. And now we have it coming in pinks. This is an opportunity that, for those that participate, will turn out to be a huge payday. For those that are sitting on the sidelines and watching it, will regret not doing this, because this will never, ever happen again. There's no other mine in existence that does what the Argyle mine does, which is produce 95% of any given diamond, let alone the pinks. So, as we get closer to the mine closing, the higher and higher and higher these prices go. Once the mine closes, we're going to give it 2 years for all the diamonds to run out, and then we're going to start to auction off and sell our clients diamonds. Now, the fact is that we're an investment firm that understands the opportunities in these type of markets. Being in the commodity business for as long as I have, I know when these opportunities come our way. And again, when you're looking at the supplies of a particular commodity like pink diamonds, the supplies are extremely low and soon going to be non-existent. But the demand for these are extremely high. That's a recipe for exploding prices. So if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're watching what's going on in all the markets, you're seeing all the markets around the world getting destroyed financially, all the stock markets, all the currency markets, everything that's going on in the banking industry, it makes so much sense to own an Argyle pink diamond that, again, not only is it portable private wealth, not only could it be sold in other currencies, but on top of that, we expect that the highly saturated vivid pink argyles, like the featured diamond this week, could go up as much as 1,000%. Means that if you buy a diamond for $100,000, it could be $1 million diamond within 5 or 6 years. And that's what we anticipate happening in the rare diamond pink market, especially with argyle pinks. Now, once the argyle mine closes, and 95% of the pink diamonds are off the market, they're gone. At that point, it leaves just a small amount of diamonds, that additional 5% that comes from India and South America and some from Africa. Well, that 5% will now become the 100%. That will mean that there'll be so few pink diamonds available that all high-quality pink diamonds will be worth an absolute fortune. So again, this is an opportunity that we very, very seldom get a chance to take advantage of. When I started trading in diamonds and dealing in diamonds and realized that the argyle mine, which produces 95% of the pinks, was going to close, to me, that was a tremendous opportunity for my clients to make a lot of money, and I went out and bought the lion's share of argyle pink diamonds. Now, many of my clients own these diamonds. We bought them many, many years ago, and listen to this, we bought them at a time when the Canadian and American dollars were basically even. And now the Canadian dollar is 40% less than the U.S. dollar. And these diamonds are priced in U.S. dollars. That means that not only are our clients making a lot of money on the diamond, but they're also getting paid in American dollars, which adds 40% to the profit. And that's what's so exciting about trading and dealing in the rare colored diamond market. We've been cutting some amazing green and orange diamonds. They're the next pinks and blues. So there's tremendous opportunity in the rare colored diamond market that we're bringing and making available to our Canadian clients. The argyle mine, we got 4 years to make a fortune of money, and I strongly suggest that if you're sitting in cash or sitting in the stock market or retirement savings plans that are not making any money, you may want to bite the bullet, get out of those markets where you're not going to make any money at all for a long, long time, and get something into an asset that will not only preserve your capital, like we talked about earlier in the show, but also make you a tremendous amount of money over the next 5 to 7 years.
Our featured diamond of the week is a .44 carat oval cut fancy vivid purplish pink argyle from the Argyle mine. See it, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. You can see video of the diamond there. In our free weekly newsletter, we have a picture of the diamond and a link to Harold's website. Speak with Harold about investing in pink diamonds. From the Argyle mine, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. This week, we have an article for you to read, Pink Diamonds, Rare, Expensive, and Australian. Now, Michael Newman, he's the director of the Diamond Guild of Australia. He was interviewed by the Huffington Post of Australia. And he went on to say, first, there are diamond mines on every continent, and they all produce white or colorless diamonds. However, the Argyle mine in Western Australia is the only reliable source of pink diamonds on the planet, being responsible for a staggering 90 to 95% or more of global supply. Secondly, 75% of the polished pink diamond production of the Argyle mine weighs less than 1/10. That's right, weighs less than 1/10, 0.10 of a carat. This means that pink diamonds of significant size are rare as the proverbial hen's teeth. For the 30 years or so, the Argyle mine, located in Western Australia, has been selling pink diamonds to the world. The price has never gone down despite local or global economic crises, and therefore have been seen as an investment or hedge. To put it in perspective, just how rare are they? Just 1/10 of 1% of the Argyle mine's production is pink. Their annual production of pink diamonds, just over a half carat, would fit in the palm of your hand. The larger, rarer violet diamonds would barely fill a teaspoon. And you consider that the mine is going to close in 2020. That explains why they are so coveted and so pricey. And Harold, this is a must-read article. We'll be happy to send it out to those that would like to read Pink Diamonds, Rare, Expensive, and Australian. Even better, go to Harold's website. Go to rarecoloreddiamonds.com. See our featured diamond of the week. You can see it. Click on the link, featured diamond. There is the video. The diamond is a .44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. And get the article from Harold. Harold will be happy to send it out to you via email free of charge in our free weekly newsletter. Harold, the market, more and more stories are coming out about 2020 as the date where this is it. It's over. We do know that more than likely they will have in their vaults maybe saved a year or two of inventory. But once they get through that inventory, 90 to 95% of the world's pink diamonds gone. And we do know, and we've mentioned this on past shows, there are people out there right now hoarding pink diamonds, waiting for this event to happen in about 4 years' time, full well knowing they're going to profit very handsomely from what's going to be happening in the future. And Harold, what would you recommend your clients do based on those circumstances?
Well, I definitely recommend getting something into a pink diamond. There's no way that we are not going to see higher prices in pink. There's no more mines available that are producing any pink diamonds. And even if they did find something, it would take 10 years for that mine to get on track, type of thing. But again, there is absolutely no indication that there is any pink diamond mines anywhere that are producing any type of pink diamonds whatsoever. So again, once the argyle mine closes, that's basically it. And after the fact, it does not do you any good. If you're going to make money in the pink diamond market, this is probably your last opportunity to do so. These diamonds are so beautiful and so rare, but they're smaller. 95% of them are under a quarter carat, and they're still considered the most concentrated form of wealth on earth. In actual fact, again, it's my clients that own diamonds for investment purposes. And we own H. Siegel Fine Auctions that we are going to, it's our auction business that will resell our clients' diamonds when we're ready to do so. But the fact is that most people over the years that have bought pink diamonds bought them in jewelry. They don't know of the investment aspects of it. We do because of my background in the commodity business and also understanding, which it isn't very difficult to understand, when the demand for a commodity is high like diamonds and the supplies are extremely low or going to be cut off, the prices are going to go higher. And in the case of pink diamonds, they're going to go tremendously higher. So at this particular point, we would like for our clients to consider getting out of the very risky stock market and paper assets that you will not make any money in and get something into an asset like an argyle pink that will do nothing but make you money.
And today we learned that Japan is going to negative interest rates. And the reason I bring it up again, we did off the top of the show, after surprising investors by introducing negative interest rates this morning, the Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda told reporters in his central bank remarks, "We will do whatever it takes to achieve their inflation mandate." And that sounds very familiar. We've heard that before out of Europe. They will do whatever it takes to create inflation. And we do know that in inflationary times, hard assets like diamonds, gold, and silver do very, very well. Our featured diamond of the week is a .44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. You can see it at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Speak with Harold privately, personally, 1-800-432-1022. And in this environment, Harold, as crazy as it sounds for most people, it's not only just making money, but it's protecting, not losing the money that you have. As the old saying goes is, number one rule in investing, don't lose money. Number two, remember rule one.
Right.
It is so, so important in the crazy volatile times that we're in to have an asset where you know you can sleep and you know that over time it will increase in value. And in a world where we're seeing negative interest rates, cashless society, people really have to start taking a look at hard assets like diamonds.
You better believe it. And again, we've been in the mining business for a long, long time. So again, we can bring so we can bring some amazing diamonds that we cut and polish ourselves to the marketplace, which we're about to do very soon. So, again, it's a changing world. There's no doubt about it. After 2008, everything changed. With the mortgage crisis and with what happened with Lehman and the derivatives market, and obviously with what happened with the banks almost all over the world almost closing, the fact is that we have never really recovered from that. So there's tremendous danger out there. And if you stay with your conventional investments, your stocks and your bonds and your mutual funds and things like that, you're going to get in trouble if you're not already in big trouble financially. Because, again, the stock market is no longer a place for conservative bets type of thing. It's a gambling casino. Most people that trade stocks lose their money. Most people that trade commodities lose their money. Most people that are trading in bonds are not getting anything back. So again, that's why we've always stressed alternative assets, alternatives to stock and paper assets that are not doing well because economies around the world are not doing well. But the fact is, look at the alternative assets. Look what's happening with classic cars. They're setting records every time there's an auction. Look what's happening in the art market. There is billions and billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars sold in art this year at huge profits. And the same with diamonds. If you look at the results from Christie's and Sotheby's and other major auction houses, 2015 was one of the greatest years ever for diamonds. So if it makes sense for the very wealthy to invest in these, why doesn't it make sense for us as hardworking Canadians to do the same thing, but just on a different level? You know, we talk a lot about the $20, $30, $50 million diamonds, but let's face it, that's out of the realm of most people. But if you look closely at these auctions, you're also going to find that the diamonds that are in the $50,000 and $100,000 range are doing phenomenal. And it shows up at every auction. So that's what we built. We built the diamond investment business for our clients to be able to trade in a hard alternative asset and own that asset and hold on to it and eventually down the road sell it. Now, what we're doing now, because of major changes in technology, is that we haven't held an auction for a while because we did discover that when we were doing auctions a few years back, over 90% of our clients were using home computers. Now we're finding the opposite. 90% want to use their iPhones or iPads, mostly iPhones. So we've changed our technology. We've adopted a new technology that will allow our clients to do full auctions on their iPhones. That is coming in March, and we're very, very excited about it. Our techie people up in Vancouver, Relentless Technologies, are brilliant when it comes to this, and they build all of my business websites, and they've also built 8 Siegel Fine Auctions. So we're taking it to the next level, and now people around the world will be able to participate in our auctions on their iPhones, iPads, and personal computers, and it's virtual. You can do it from anywhere in the world. We're very, very excited about the future of the auction business, but at this point, not a lot of people are selling diamonds. More people are concerned about collecting and holding these assets for the next 5 to 10 years because of the state of the world economy and how bad the paper asset market is, mostly stocks. So, again, we're changing the technology. That should be finished by March. We've got a major seminar coming up in a few months on the Cashless Society. That will be virtual. You'll be able to actually watch it on your iPhone, your iPad, or your personal computer from wherever you are in the world. So, again, we're really increasing our technology, and that's only to help the business moving forward, and we're extremely excited about what we're going to be able to bring to our clients over the next few months.
Harold mentioned Cashless Society. Get that story we mentioned off the top if you missed it. Norway's 2 biggest banks have stopped handling cash. And if you'd like to receive that story, get our free weekly newsletter. Connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. Featured Diamond of the Week, a .44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. Don't forget, next week we are on at 10 a.m. due to Oilers hockey. Now, today we're on at 2. The NHL All-Star Game is on the way at 3 o'clock on 630 CHED. one of the stories that we had from the New York Times Associated Press this week, and it's pretty astonishing. You can see in Japan, they're cutting rates to negative, trying to spur inflation. And then you have countries like Venezuela, where the IMF is estimating that inflation will top 700%. This year, 2016, 700%. One of the other stories that was quite shocking during the week, that in Brazil, the economy, the recession there is so bad that they have actually gone to the lengths of canceling Carnival. If you can believe it, they're canceling Carnival due to the economy, due to the Zika situation. It's just a recipe for disaster for them. But Harold, how bad is it when you have a country like Brazil, well known for Carnival, and they're canceling it? But the other thing that's interesting, too, isn't that where the Olympics are going to be this year?
Yes, it is.
And,
yes, it is. I was shocked when
stunning.
They announced that Rio de Janeiro, one of the most dangerous countries in the world, is going to be holding the Olympics. I just personally couldn't believe it. I've done business in South America, and when you go to Rio, you must have 2 bodyguards with you. It's one of the most dangerous places on earth. Beautiful, but it's dangerous. And the fact is that with our economy sinking into the abyss, it's going to be even more dangerous. And the fact is that the country is in financial dire straits. So again, as bad as it appeared that the Russian Olympics were going to be, and they turned out okay, but there were still horror stories, I believe we're going to see horror stories coming from Brazil, from Rio, and I'm just absolutely shocked that they gave them the Olympics in the first place. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but they're in big financial trouble, and it's a very, very dangerous place to go.
Featured Diamond of the Week from RareColorDiamonds.com, a .44 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, purplish pink argyle. Speak with Harold, RareColorDiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. And we're taping today's show on January 29th. Here we are a few weeks away from Valentine's Day. And I know that, Harold, it may be a little tight for somebody that wanted a pink diamond for Valentine's Day, but it's still worth speaking to you because there are other momentous occasions throughout the year. I know that your company does have an aspect to it where you can create jewelry for people to put the diamonds in for any occasion, whether it be an anniversary or birthday, engagement. Obviously, Valentine's Day, getting engaged and having a pink diamond would be pretty exciting, very outstanding. But you really do cater to all the different holidays and events throughout the year for those that would like to invest in diamonds, but have them as something that you can wear and enjoy at the same time.
Oh, you bet. There's nothing like wearing a beautiful colored diamond. Well, my company consists of several divisions. Number one is the sales company, which is RareColorDiamonds.com. That displays our museum quality pieces. We're updating that to show some diamonds that we just cut from rough, and you're going to see major changes to the website. So we're working on that now. You're going to see the diamond as it was in a rough state, and then as it was cut. So we're bringing that to you. We also own 8 Seagull Fine Auctions, and soon, once our new technology is in, we'll start to resume our auctions. Then we also own Diamante Atelier, which is our jewelry division. We have over 3,000 museum quality pieces of jewelry. Some of them are off the charts. We also own the Van Cleef & Arpels collection circa 1930. That is one of the areas that we will be holding a massive auction for. You're talking some of the most outrageous collectible pieces of all time. Again, these are circa 1930, and they are from Van Cleef & Arpels. We did a phenomenal job selling out the Cartier circa 1930 collection. That was just off the charts amazing. We also own the last 8 pieces of Elizabeth Taylor's estate, some of the most beautiful pieces in existence today. And then Diamante Atelier, it's got pieces starting at as low as 5,000 and pieces going up as high as 30 and 40 million. So again, there's a reason why the rich and famous invest and buy these type of assets, and they should be the same reason that we do, because it makes sense to do it.
Thank you very much, Harold Siegel, for another great show and your knowledge.
It's my pleasure, Randy. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
Connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.